Hi there, this is Ramesh from PiXimperfect, and today I'm going to show you a really cool way to apply a watercolor effect to your photos just by playing around with the features, and that's all what we will do. Right from adding the texture to coloring, we're going to cover that all. So without any further ado, let's get started. So here we are in Photoshop, and if you want to download this photo, check the links in the description. Now, right before we begin, I have a confession, and the confession is this. There is no hard and fast rules or techniques involved that you have to do this step and that step after this effect. There's nothing like that. If you have your basic concepts clear in your mind, you can create any effect in the world. Just use those basic concepts, and that's all there is. Let me show you the final result first, and then we will switch over to starting from scratch. Alright, so this is something which I created previously, and all that I did, first of all, I added the texture in black and white. Then I did some dodging and burning and just brightened and darkened some areas, and then I added some color to it, and then some texture, and then some additional curves adjustment layer to really bring out the best. So that's all there is. Let's start right from the scratch. So let's go over to this image, and the first thing that we have to do is to create a black and white adjustment layer. Now again, I will say, I was just playing around. There's no technique written somewhere that you have to do this. Just play around. Alright, so click on the adjustment layer icon and choose black and white. Now you can just move it in any direction you like. I think for me, moving the red to the left worked, and I moved the yellows all the way to the right, this one all the way to the left, just like kind of zigzag effect, and it worked for me. Like just zigzag effect. It really added that filter effect. So have a look. A watercolor texture, very easy, right? Now we need to add some stroke to it. So what we do, we create a stamp visible layer. To do that, press Ctrl Alt Shift E, Command Option Shift E if you're using a Mac. That creates a merged layer of everything that you see in the canvas right now. Alright, now we need to convert this into a smart object so that when we apply the filter, we can change the values later. Go to Filter, Convert for Smart Filters. Hit OK. Now let's add some stroke to it. You can go to Filter, and then inside of that, apply Filter Gallery. Now inside of Filter Gallery, you can stack as many filters as you like. I have a ton of them stacked, but these are useless. I'm just going to go ahead and delete all of them. The filter that we are looking for, just hit on the delete key to delete it. Delete button right over there, is angled strokes. So instead of the brush strokes, right, so brush strokes folder, you will find something called angled strokes. So these apply a very nice filter to it. Let's have a look at the before and after. So if I turn this off, so this is the before, this is the after. So you got to be looking for angled strokes, and probably 38 is a good number to be at. Now once you're satisfied with the number, hit OK. You can also zoom out and have a look how this looks with your overall image. It's pretty good. Now it takes some time to load because this is a huge image, and also at the same time the filter is very heavy. Alright, now once you're satisfied with the numbers, just play with direction, balance, stroke length, sharpness. So these all control the same thing which they are named after. If you have direction balance in the middle, you will have strokes in both the angles in equal quantities. So you will have strokes like this, cross hatching in equal quantities. Have a look at the highlights. The strokes are in this direction. Have a look at the shadows. The strokes are in this direction. If you take it to the left, it will become more of just one direction, right? If you take it to the right, it will become more of the other direction. So it controls the balance between this stroke and this stroke. You get the idea. Just play around with it and you will have an idea of how this works. Now when I moved it to the left, have a look. All the strokes are in the same direction, this direction. In the shadows as well, and the highlights as well. So make sure you have it in the middle. Now depending upon what you are looking for, I will keep it in the middle at 50. That is fine for me. Hit OK once you're satisfied. Now this is a heavy filter. It will take some time to be applied. Now as you can see, the filter has been applied, but at this point we want to separate the subject from the background. So in the background, we have long strokes. That looks fine. But with the subject, we want to have short strokes so that it kind of separates. So here's what we do. We make a copy of this layer. Press Ctrl or Command J. And you can name this one background. Let's name it BG, and let's name this subject. Okay. So we have two layers, the background and the subject. in the subject, just because we converted this layer into a smart object, we can change the values and make the strokes shorter. Just double click on the filter gallery and all you need to do is just decrease the stroke length. We'll go with 12 or 15, that's fine, hit OK. It's going to take time to apply. Now as you can see, the strokes are much shorter here, but it also has been applied to the background. So how do we just limit it just to the subject? You guessed it right, masks, right? So hold the Alt or Option, click on the mask button, okay? Then we're gonna take the brush, make sure the foreground color is white. Again, what's the concept of mask? White are the areas which show up, black hides. So right now, all of the mask is completely black, so none of it shows up. We will paint white over the subject inside of the mask. Make sure the mask is selected and just paint over the subject, just like that. You can leave a little bit, doesn't really matter much. Maybe in the highlights you will. You don't have to paint all of it. You can just leave some areas, kind of makes it more artistic. You can leave the hands if you want to, or just paint on some areas, not all of the areas, because I kind of love it. Pants are okay. Alright, that looks nice. Can paint a little bit over here. Okay, that looks wonderful. Now if you want, you can also apply it just a little bit here and there. Alright, now it's time for us to do a little bit of dodging and burning and bring out the dimension in this artwork. So here's what we do. Create a curves adjustment layer. Click on the adjustment layer icon and choose curves. Now we need to take it down just like this. And just collapse it. Make sure the mask is selected. Press Ctrl or Command I to invert the mask. Take the brush, make sure the foreground color is white and just paint on the clouds. You can also decrease the flow if you want to. I'm gonna go ahead and choose 10 and just paint right over there. Paint on the dark areas of the clouds. Leave the white areas. We wanna just accentuate the dimension. Now let's increase the flow a little bit. Now if you want to make it more darker, you know what to do. Just double click on the symbol of the curves right over there. And you can make it darker, even darker if you want to. Now if you just want to limit the darkness just to the dark areas, double click on the right hand side of the layer. This opens up the layer styles dialog box. It should open. Okay, it opened. Now take the slider of the underlying layer from right to left. This deletes the bright areas of the underlying layer from the current layer. If you do that, it's very harsh. So hold the Alt or Option, click on the slider and kind of separate it a bit. It kind of looks nice, but not necessary in this one. We'll just go, it's not necessary, hit OK. All right, in this case, but it might be necessary in some other cases. All right. Let's apply some darkness over here as well. So click on the mask, take the brush and just start darkening these areas if you want to. Let's first of all decrease the flow. It's too much. Let's choose 5. This kind of gives it a watercolor effect. Some edges are, some areas are smudged. Some areas have that kind of softness. So it really helps. You can also just randomly apply it to separate areas. Make sure the dimension is maintained. This looks pretty great. Now let's add some brightness, which is called dodging. Let's create one more curves adjustment layer. And this time, take it all up just like this. Similarly, select the mask, press Ctrl or Command I. Take the brush, make sure the foreground color is white, and then you can just brighten up some areas like that. Just add some shine to these areas. Now you can take your time to do it. I'm doing this very quickly. You can just take hours and just paint it the way you like it. Really bring up the fog if you want to. Paint a couple times to make it a little foggy. Now once you're done with this, so this is what? This is dodging, and this one is burning. You can name this dodge and burn as well. And let's make a group of these two. Make sure you hold the Control or Command, select the other one, make sure both of them are selected, press Control or Command G, and you can name it D and B, dodging and burning. Okay, now we need to color this, but before we do color it, with all this clutter, it's kind of, it's not looking great. So let's make a group of both of them, the background and the subject. So select both of them and press Control or Command G, and we can name this black and white base. All right, let's do that. And now let's add some color to it. How can we do that? The background layer has some color. Let's make a copy of that by pressing Control or Command J. Put it at the top. Okay. Now we just want the color from this, just the color. So we will change the blend mode from normal to color. And we are done. Isn't that awesome? If you want less color, you will just simply decrease the opacity. Now, if you want to get a smudgy kind of effect, you can also blur it out. So go to filter, first of all, convert for smart filters so that you can change the values later. Non-destructive editing is the name of the game. All right. So go to filter, blur, and then Gaussian blur. You can apply any blur that you want to kind of get the smudgy effect. See, the colors are smudging out. So you can just really do it if you want to, but I'm not a big fan of this, especially in this case. So I'll just hit cancel. I don't want that. If you want that, you can just play around with that. Play around with colors and it would be fine. Now we need to add texture to it, and for that you can use any texture that you want. All right. I have a special extension inside of Photoshop called the PEXELS app. So I would go to Windows, Extensions, and then PEXELS. You can also download it. Check the links in the description. It allows you to search for free stock photos from inside of Photoshop and allows you to insert them as layers. All right, so I'm going to search for paper, a paper texture. This is the one that I was looking for. I'll just click on it and it will download the image and insert it in your document as layers. It's a pretty cool app. Just check out the description for the link, and also you can check out this video on how to use the application. All right, it's completely free. Let's collapse that. Control or Command T, it has also been inserted in our image. Just as a layer, you can also open that up from the documents, from your Explorer. All right, so just change the blend mode of this one to overlay. You can try different blend modes, see which one looks good to you. Wow. Hard light is really awesome, right? It looks wonderful. Now when I try it, all you have to do, just click on in here, click twice, and with the scroll of the mouse, just try in different blend modes. So scroll in. This is nice as well. If you just decrease the opacity, this is a wonderful effect as well. So just try different one. Hard mix, overlay, pin light, linear light really looks good. I can choose anything. I'll choose overlay. That's fine for me. And suppose I do not want it on him. So I'll just simply create a mask. Take the brush, make sure the foreground color is black. Press X to toggle between the foreground and the background. Make the brush a little bigger. And I'll just simply dab in the middle like that. That way it is removed from him. But the flow is low, so you cannot see it. Increase the flow and do that again. And it's almost done. If you want some more, you can add a curves adjustment layer to really increase the contrast a little bit and brighten up the shadows just like this. You can just play with it as much as you like. And that's pretty much it. And I played with it a little bit, and here is the final result. I just hope you liked it, and this time I don't want to give you any recap. You know why? Because this was just playing around with the features of Photoshop, and that is it. I do not want you to learn just this and copy just this. Of course, you can do it for practice purposes, but I would love if you come up with your own effect. I just want you to play around with the features. Use the basic concepts like we did here. We used the basic concept of the color blend mode, right? To apply just the color. We knew, if you check out the previous videos, we learned about the color blend mode, that if we change the blend mode to color, it applies just the color of that layer. We used the concept of smart objects. We use the concept of curves. We use the concepts of black and white adjustment layers, that if you take the reds to the left, it just darkens whatever was red before converting it to black and white. All those concepts used right in here again. So just play around with Photoshop, and if you have any effect in your mind, you can apply all of that if you have your basic concepts clear. And that's pretty much it for this video. I hope this video helped you, and if it did, make sure to give us a like, and also do not forget to subscribe, and not just subscribe, ring the bell so that you, my friend, do not miss a thing. I'll see you guys in my next one. Till then, stay tuned and make sure that you keep creating.